One of the things we've been covering here repeatedly on the Midas Touch Network, and may I add fearlessly, is Donald Trump's rapidly declining health. We noticed it way back 4 years ago, and it's been getting worse and worse. And now in the final closing days of the campaign, it is a major issue as people see Donald Trump just falling apart. I mean, physically, mentally, but we've always seen those signs there. I think one of the things to point out as well, and you may have a family member or friend or someone you know who suffers from dementia or separately has suffered a stroke or mini strokes. So you may recognize those symptoms and that behavior in Donald Trump. I'm not a doctor. I'm sharing with you my opinions after speaking with many medical professionals. And I'll be clear, it's just my opinion. But I believe Donald Trump has dementia-like symptoms. It's just my opinion. One of those big symptoms is something called disinhibition. And disinhibition is people acting in a disinhibitive way. People will make comments out loud about sexual things or just inappropriate behavior in public places. Now, when you add Donald Trump's malignant narcissism with his disinhibitive behavior and you combine that, it creates this amplification of the underlying symptoms. But we see that over and over, right? I mean, when Donald Trump was in Arizona and he simulated giving oral sex to a microphone because his microphone wasn't working, that is kind of classic disinhibitive behavior. Let me just show it to you so you can see it here. Play this clip. All right, let's rewind though to the secret visit that Donald Trump made to Walter Reed when he was in office. Donald Trump and his campaign his administration then tried to claim that the Walter Reed visit was just a normal routine checkup. But we knew that there's something deeper. Here's a world-renowned doctor, David Shiner, who believed even back in November 2019 that Donald Trump's inability to say words reflected on a potential, the fact that he may have had mini strokes. Here, watch this.
His inability to say words sometimes worries me tremendously. He is having trouble word finding when he said United States instead of United States. These aren't words, these aren't slips of the tongue. These are words he can't find them. And this is happening over and over again. Comedians joke about it, but it's not a joking matter. I think there is a neurological issue that is not being addressed. And if he had an MRI of his head over there, I would be very pleased because I think he needs it.
Is that something that could have happened in the 2-hour time he was there?
Yes, it certainly could. And it's the worry that I have is that maybe he's having small strokes. And, we had that once before in the White House when Woodrow Wilson was president. His inability to find words is peculiar and has not been explained. And I think one has to think of it as a possible neurological issue.
So here's what I wrote on my social media accounts. Trump's conduct tonight, this is when he did the oral sex thing on the microphone. Yes, people with dementia can experience changes in sexual behavior, including confusion about sex. Inappropriate behavior. People with dementia may behave in a sexually inappropriate way, such as making sexual comments or touching themselves in public. This can be due to a loss of inhibitions, or they may not understand that their behavior is inappropriate. Disinhibition is a neuropsychiatric symptom of dementia that causes people to behave in ways that are socially inappropriate and out of character for them. Let me make a point here, though. Donald Trump had already before behaved with respect to sexual stuff in very inappropriate ways for his entire life. So you add this to that, and it's like a total mess. It's the perfect storm that we're seeing now in this very public physical and mental collapse that we're seeing. It's just, this is how he feels. He has a track record. He's been found liable for sexual assault. He has sexualized his daughter. He said that what he has in common with his daughter, Ivanka, is sex. I mean, he talked about the breast size of his infant daughter on TV. So he says disgusting things, but it's rapidly accelerating now in a way that, how do I put this? If he was not trying to kill us all, I would feel bad. I would say there needs to be an intervention. I would empathize with someone going through those things, but at the same time, they're covering it up. He's not releasing his medical records. Even when there was that incident in Butler, Pennsylvania, when anyone would have released their medical records, Donald Trump lied and claimed that he was, shot in his lobe. He doesn't even know what the lobe is. And then he claims that he was a fast healer. And then that's the reason that the AR-15 bullet pierced his ear, but that he's fine. That doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you release your records? In my opinion, he's covering things up. But let me give you some other data points here. Like on Saturday, Donald Trump was calling into Fox, and Donald Trump said, women are not human beings. He said he was hit by some of the strongest not human beings women, drawing a distinction that women are not human beings. Here, play this clip.
I've known him for a long time. He's totally retracted his statement, like, weak people always do. They retract their statements. But he was hit by some of the strongest, not human beings, women. Let
me show you, though, classic disinhibitive behavior, though. And it's this cringy moment in his speech in Arizona, in addition to him doing the fellatio simulation on the microphone, where he'll see someone in the audience who he's sexually attracted to, and rather than control it, he blurts it out, and he'll look at someone and he'll say, look, there's a beautiful blonde girl right there, beautiful blonde girl. And if you've had a relative who suffers from dementia and they're, at an assisted living facility or something, like, it's very reminiscent sometimes of what if you're a nurse, exactly. You're bobbing your head. You see exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what nurses experience with individuals who are having kind of late stage Alzheimer's, dementia-like symptoms, and they'll say things, and you have to. And again, in those situations, you want to be, of course, sympathetic. But again, here, like the Republicans want to give this guy the nuclear code, so I can't show sympathy, but let me show it to you.
With computers all over the place and robots, lots of robots, by the way. So I said, well, how's that going? I was making a speech, and I said, I'm right about there where that very beautiful girl is. I'm not allowed to say that. See the beautiful blonde girl right there? I said, now, that's the end of your political career when you do that. You're not allowed to call anybody beautiful anymore. If you do, it's the end of your political career. Ron Johnson would never do.
Here's another classic example of this. When Donald Trump was recently in Iowa, he brings up on his own the idea, again, this is a public speech. He's in a high school here, and he brings up the idea of getting urinated on by hookers. And he says that he wouldn't want to get peed on by hookers because he's a germaphobe and his wife wouldn't like that. But again, he's bringing this up in a gym, in a high school gym, in front of high school kids. Here, play this clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling, I love you very much? It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, He's not into golden showers, as they say they call it. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
One of the things we also see with dementia patients is and also people who suffer from strokes. In my opinion, it's possible both happen. Again, I want to be clear. One more time, I'm just expressing my opinion, just an opinion. You may have different opinions. He will struggle to find a word, and so yes, he'll slur, he'll make the noises, he'll slur, try to find the words, but then he'll curse all the time. And yes, he is a psychopath and a malignant narcissist and an evil person who likes to curse. Sure. But the way it's happening here, he can't find another word. So he'll be like, she's a shit. She's a shit. And again, if you've seen people who are suffering from these things, that's what it's similar. Here, play this clip.
She's a horrible person, but she's radical left. And Crazy Bernie is radical left. And this one, Kamala, is further left than them. So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. The worst. You're the worst vice president. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out of here.
And then there's, him defecating on himself or relieving himself or passing gas in public. Physical manifestations of physical ailments and maladies. And some have suspected, is it based on medication he's taken, his whole life, or Adderall abuse or things like that. Some have speculated that. It's also a form of disinhibitive behavior as well. But he's doing it. And so, when he's out there in speeches, simulating doing fellatio on a microphone, and then going around in speeches like the one in Detroit where he's, either just, farting or passing gas or defecating on himself. I mean, here, play this clip.
This is a catastrophe for the American dream and a dire crisis from commerce to labor to FEMA.
But again, the origins of this we've seen even when he was in office. That's why, we've been covering it for 4 years now, 3.5 years or whatever. Here he is next to the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. And he seems to, he relieves himself, or he's farting on her, sitting next to her, and she's repulsed. And you see in her face, and the smell is putrid. You see what's going on. Here, play this clip.
So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show leadership in an effort to end this senseless violence. It can be ended.
And, here was Donald Trump, just this past week. He couldn't open up a truck door. He struggled. Play the clip. Now, there are some MAGA sycophants who, I've seen them in some of the replies. They're like, it was slippery. He slipped. No, this is... let me show you a montage of him. It's the same leg. And again, this to me is, my opinion, and from medical people who I've talked to, their opinions that they've expressed to me, is that they think it's a mini stroke or repeated mini strokes. Here, you can watch for yourself. I'll show you this right here. We put this together, and this is also kind of classic signs and symptoms and manifestations of what I've been talking about. Let me just share with you this. This is about 3 minutes. I could have made this video 25 minutes, 50 minutes, 5. I could have done this for 5 hours. But here are 3 minutes straight of Donald Trump confusing and forgetting people's names, the cities that he's in. Just watch this. Play this clip.
I think you should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Dr. Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. How good did at least stepping at you. You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. Jimmy Connors is good. He's also happy.
Mike Bolton, John Bolton is here.
Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia.
And there was progress today. I look forward to solving it.
Thank you, Steve. It was Trump's fault. It's always Trump's fault. Can it ever be like Rick Gates' fault? I mean, it's always Trump's fault, Rick. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
Yes, please, Mr. Kurd.
Thank you very much for your time.
You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done.
And Putin, you know, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear.
Thanks for giving your first comments on the bill on this show. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks a lot.
You have a deal. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Joe Bright, this guy is just the worst. So will Christian ever run for president against you? And you heard the prime minister, you heard
Maybe have Matt Blum speak next, because he's been so incredible in so many ways. He fights so hard. He loves his state. He loves the people.
Think of it, a new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces, called Air Force. I never talked about that. That's something we never talked about. But what we just saw, we just left pleasure. A very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. Thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you,
And the worst president in the history of our country who is cognitively impaired, we would be in World War II very quickly.
the worst president in the history of our country will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory.
Here he is referring to President Biden and saying, indict the mother effer, but he curses at his rally. He uses the F word. Here, play this clip.
What they've done is they've gone after opponents so that if you become president or some other job, but if you become president and you don't like somebody, or if somebody's beating you by 10, 15, or 20 points like we're doing with crooked Joe Biden, let's indict the motherfucker. Let's indict.
Here is a montage of Donald Trump pretending to wave to people who aren't there. There's nobody around him, and he's just kind of waving to nobody. Here, play this clip.
See you later.
And then finally, let me just share with you this one clip. This is from Governor Walz. And I think Governor Walz says it correct here. He's like, let me make a selfish argument. One reason to vote for us is for 9 years we've seen this Trump thing. Why? Let's move past that. And we don't want to see that. I don't need to see this physically ill, kind of deranged, disinhibited person shouting sex stuff and pretending to give oral sex to microphones and defecating on himself in public. It's not a good look for our country. And then you pair that with the fact that Donald Trump at his core, at his root, has always been this way. He's a sexual predator. He's been found liable for sexual assault. He's a felon 34 times over. He deserves to be in prison for sure. I know you're going to say, because I read him in the comments, is he pretending to be this way to try to get out of prison by maybe saying insanity or have sympathy on me? I'm suffering from all of these things, and that's what he's going to claim, that when he loses the election, that he'll present his medical records then as a way to show he's sick and that he couldn't go to prison. But he'll doctor up the medical records in the opposite direction. Yeah, it's plausible. It's plausible. The whole point of me showing you this stuff on the video is that I'm not making any excuses for how I think he should go to prison for the rest of his life. I think he is a predator. He's one of Epstein's friends. They trafficked women, Epstein and Ghislaine, from Mar-a-Lago. Trump says Epstein's a great guy. Trump is a sicko. Put him in prison for the rest of his life. I'm also just reflecting as well that he's not of sound mind, that this is also a physically deteriorating individual. And corporate media made such a big deal about Biden's age. When Biden is healthy, he has a stutter, but he is a healthy 80-plus-year-old. Runs, jogs, as healthy as you can be in that age. Low blood pressure. Donald Trump is sick, and it's obvious that he's sick. And attention needs to be turned to it. We'll do that here at the Midas Touch Network. In any event, here's the video of Governor Walz. Let's play it.
There are so many reasons here, but we've got a chance to turn the page on Donald Trump. So many reasons. And to vote for Kamala Harris, so many reasons to vote against this guy. But I'll tell you, this one may be petty, but we've earned it living with this guy for 9 years. How great's it going to be just not to see him on TV anymore? And not only that, we get to see a new generation of leadership with Kamala Harris.
Thank you for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate your time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.